Hi, third graders. It's Mrs. Tarek. And in just a minute, I'm going to be teaching you my lesson about penguin chicks. But before I start, I wanted to remind you of a couple things that we talked about back during our nonfiction unit when you were doing some teaching with the things you were learning then, that you need to remember in order to be a really good teacher. So Kitty and I wanted to remind you that in order to teach well, you have to really know what you're talking about. You have to know that main idea and those supporting details really well. And I've been doing a lot of reading on penguin chicks, and I think I know a lot about it. So I'm feeling like really confident to be able to teach you a lesson about it. So I'm going to be using my explaining voice, giving examples. I'm also going to be using my hands a lot to be gesturing about things that I'm talking about. And I'm using it right now, I'm going to be using a teaching finger to be pointing out the things that I want you to pay attention to. Okay, so here we go. Kitty, you ready? She's got a lot of energy today. All right, so I have been doing all kinds of research about penguins, and the subtopic that interested me the most was talking about penguin chicks because they're so cute. So anyway, here's what I know about penguin chicks. Before they're even born, the parents gather in these big giant groups of penguins on land, and they're called rookeries. So a rookery is a big group of penguins that gather in order to lay eggs. And they gather in these rookeries in order to have extra protection against predators. So some of the penguins build nests, but not all. Some build nests in the ground, some gather pebbles to build nests, and some just lay eggs and keep them on their feet. So before the egg hatches, the parents need to keep this egg warm. It's really important to keep it warm because they lay eggs in like super cold places. So they have something, it's a flap of skin, and it's near their feet, and it's called a brood pouch. And they use this flap of skin to cover the egg. And it takes about 30 to 45 days for this egg to hatch. So and the parents take turns. It's not just the female that does it. The male also has a brood pouch and covers the egg. So what they do is they take turns keeping the egg warm. So while one parent keeps the egg warm with their brood pouch, the other parent goes off and goes fishing and gets food for the both of them. And I wanted to show you, I have a picture of a brood pouch here. And so this is a penguin covering the egg with a brood pouch, and here's kind of even a close-up. And this picture is really cool because you can see the chick is just now hatching out of the egg. And it's hard to see in this picture, but all penguins have on their beak, it's called an egg tooth. It's kind of like a little nodule or a bump on their beak, and that's how they kind of start their way out of their egg. So once the egg hatches, you have a baby chick, and the baby chick comes out not with like stiff oily feathers, waterproof feathers like the adult penguins have, but they come out with these fluffy feathers, and it's called down, and they're usually brown or gray, and the feathers are fluffy in order to keep the chicks warmer because the chicks don't have that layer of blubber built up yet, so they have to have this fuzzy down to help keep them warm. So let's talk about food for the chicks. While one parent is keeping the baby chick safe and warm, the other parent goes off and goes fishing and gets food, and they eat mostly fish and shrimp and krill. So the parents don't just bring back a big giant fish for this baby to eat. It's too little. It can't eat that yet. So what the parents do are they actually eat the food, and it goes down into their stomach, and it gets partially digested. And when the baby's ready to eat, they regurgitate some of this food, and they feed it to the baby because it's softer. Also really gross. So that's how the baby chick eats. Sometimes when the baby chick gets older and bigger, it takes both parents to go off and get enough food for the whole family. So both parents leave the baby chick. And in order to survive, all of the baby chicks gather in these big giant groups or these huddles of baby penguins, baby penguin chicks, and they're called creaches when they huddle together. And they do this for two reasons. They do this to keep warm, so they're all in this big group and it's warmer, and they do it to keep safe too from predators, because if there's a big group of babies, sometimes the predators are intimidated by that and they won't come in. So they stay in these creaches until the parents get back and can do a better job protecting them. So anyway, the baby penguins stay with their parents for about a year before they go off on their own. All right, so that's everything I know about penguin chicks. I did a lot of research. I did a lot of planning. I got my expert words here. So when you go off to plan your lesson today, the number one thing you need to remember is that you need to know your subject matter really well in order to teach it. So do your research before you plan your lesson. You can make visuals, you can show pictures. I know that's hard right now because you don't have like a lot of the books available that we have at school, but just do the best you can. Your teachers cannot wait to see your lesson, so make sure you record it on Seesaw. And if you'd like your lesson published to the blog, make sure you click that little globe icon and your teacher will know that you want it published to the blog. But if you want to keep it just between you and your teacher, that's fine. You don't have to put it on the blog if you don't want to. All right, good luck.